Hi, my name is Gareth and I work in the widening participation team of the Northern Care Alliance NHS Group, which is the joining together of Salford Royal NHS Foundation Trust and Pennine Acute Trust. The NCA is one of the biggest employers in the Northwest with approximately 20,000 staff. The talk this week is being led by Steve Johnson, who is the building officer based at Fairfield General Hospital in Bury. If you have any questions, please use either the chat box or you can send your questions on to Gemma, who will then pass on to Steve and myself. I will now hand you over to Steve.
Right, afternoon everybody. Thanks for that, Gareth, much appreciated. I know I'm a little bit late because I've just been on a bit of an issue on one of the wards. My name's Steve Johnson and I'm one of the estates managers here at Fairfield General Hospital. I've been in this role for the past 10 years, currently served my time as a joiner at a small 3-man company. Moved on to a joiner then at Royal Oldham Hospital, where I did 10 years as the joiner on the maintenance, and then from there progressed through the ranks and went back to college, got my qualifications from the HNC and became part of the management team here at Fairfield. A typical day really for us is we can start any time between 7 and finish up to 5-6 o'clock at night, but we do cover the sites within our role as a 24-hour emergency, and I will stress emergency on calls. In general, we would tend to be working between 7:30 and 4 every day. Sometimes you get your lunch, sometimes you don't, but the day, you can never really plan your day. You get that many, I won't say disruptions, but call outs for different jobs, wards, being issues on wards, machines breaking down, buildings leaking. So you can't really say, I am going to do this today, because that doesn't work. The beauty of it is, really, is day to day. You don't know what's going to come ahead. And especially if, like myself, you're on call, you could be up in the middle of the night taking calls, sorting problems out, calling the staff out to attend, or even attend site ourselves for fire or loss of water or power. So it's not a day you can plan. There is a varied trades within the hospital, from mechanical, electrical, joinery, building, painting and decorating, which we don't currently have on this site, but at the other 2 other sites we do have painters and decorators as well. A lot of our job really is day-to-day maintenance of the hospital. For breakdowns, going checking flooring, keeping all the plant up to date. But what we're finding more and more now is we're coming into the legislation side of it, and more of us are doing more and more training, as in going back to college, doing courses. Like I said, my speciality is building, but I've had to do asbestos. We do water, currently look after some water lifts, so it is a varied role. And at Fairfield we work as a team of 3 estates officers, 1 senior estates officer and a general manager who actually covers all the sites for Fairfield and Rochdale. So although we all have our specialities, we are expected to assist and help out where possible. And that unfortunately does include cleaning the toilets when there's a blockage, which isn't my favourite job, but somebody's got to do it, and while I'm doing that, I can't do anything else. We have the gardening department as well, who come under estates as well. Currently, because of the COVID, what we've got is a lot of ward moves which can happen within 24 hours. Everybody He's constantly moving. I want this, I want that. Can you change my lock codes because we've changed wards? We've got a security issue. I need my Digilock changing. Can you move my posters? Nurse calls are constantly being tested because they do patients and all these new beds we have now, the electronic beds, obviously they do go up and down. So with this, for the staff safety as well, so there's none of this pumping beds up, they're all done electronically now, but it does cause us issues within our department when they start moving beds and pushing them into walls, raising and falling with them, just for the comfort of themselves and the patients. What else can I say? A couple of the big projects we've done over the last, I will say, since March, is basically we've from the COVID, every ward is more or less been changed on this site at Fairfield. We've had to put donning and doffing areas on, which are the areas where staff go in. They will put all the PPE on, all the safety, the goggles, the hats, the hazmat suits to deal with the patients, and then go through onto the ward. And then the nursing staff then can work up to 6 hours on a ward, 4 usually, but up to 6 hours. And once they're in these suits, they are in these suits. And I've done it once or twice during this period, trying to carry out my role, fitting things, as we've all had to muck together. So I've had to get my tool bag out. We've carried on fitting oxygen cylinders, bins, and I've actually worn the suits on what the nursing staff, which you probably know about, and I've had it on for 3 hours, and I take my hat off to all the medical staff for working in them sort of circumstances. It is unbelievable how warm it gets in them suits. A lot of time we've got meetings with all the other staff as well. Currently at Fairfield, we have silver and bronze control. And because of the COVID now, we've got bronze who'll take the, I won't say menial tasks, but they're not as important as silver control, who are looking at changing wards, any issues with the doctors, if we get an outbreak with COVID, how we can improve it, what we have to do going around everything, transporting the patients, how we can move the stock on the estate side of it. And then we've got the facilities side, who are the portering, catering, domestics. Again, these are I'll say the unsung heroes of the NHS, because although it is estates and facilities, what I say every time is we are just as important as the surgeons and the nurses, but because without us providing this cover, they can't do their role. So you are a valued part of this team, and personally, I love the role. Whilst COVID has been on, there has been a lot more increase in the time spent on site, more buildings being put up, trying to keep corridors safe, even the fact of putting stickers down on floors, posters up, warning everybody about the dangers, what they should and shouldn't be doing. I mean, currently you can see I don't have a mask on. No flippant comments on that one, please. But because I'm in a room on my own, I've got away with not wearing a mask. But in general, we do have the blue masks, which are worn all the time in the office, throughout the hospital. And you change these every time you go on a ward or you change department. You can't go on a ward and come off with the same mask. Everything changed every time. And with that come the hand washing sinks, which again, due to COVID, have been put in thick and fast all throughout the trust, involving everybody. We've increased our A&E capacity over the last few weeks. Well, over one weekend alone, we ended up moving or creating a new A&E department in our outpatients department, due to the sheer volume of patients coming into the trust and that did include putting all the nurse calls in, more sinks, IT connections, benches, and because of the team we're working with the management team on Fairfield and all working together, we achieved that within the weekend to enable the department to run. And still, we're looking at more extensions. We've currently got the theatres over at Fairfield. We've just having extensions built onto the roof. I don't know if anybody saw them, but we've got two brand new theatres for Bones. Can't think of the name now. Forgive me for that. Ultra clean theatres. So there's a lot of work.
Trauma and orthopedic.
Orthopedic, that's the one. Thank you very much. Memory loss lapse there. Must be an age thing. So yes, we've got the orthopedic theatres and also extensions for the staff. So they got the facilities they required, because theatres are actually what we class here at Fairfield as the ultra clean, and that is where all patients are screened before they come into theatre for operations, and that entails them self-isolating for 2-week COVID test before and during that 2-week period. And actually, when they attend the hospital site, they come to the main entrance and they are escorted through the hospital straight up to the top floor corridor, which is the ultra green corridor for all surgical procedures. So from that point of view, that gives us an issue on our maintenance side, because we've got COVID patients here and there, all notified with the boards on the walls, but it does restrict us from doing work in theatres if we've been on a COVID area to passing on the infection, and that being ultra clean. So what we tend to do is, if it's not an emergency, we'll go up first thing in the morning before we go anywhere else to those areas, get the work done, and then we more or less move round, going down from green or no COVID to amber, possibility of COVID, to red, which is COVID, and work our way through those departments. Again, with all the correct PPE. I've been in this since March this year, since everything started. I've been on, like I said, I've been on the wards, and I haven't been ill from it. So thank the Lord for that. And wouldn't have missed this for the world. The opportunities, what have come up, what we've shown staff, visitors, patients, how as a team at Fairfield from all levels, how we've achieved this has been absolutely outstanding. Training does go on throughout the trust, although within our department although you have to keep up with your training. We've got our electricians currently doing the training. I've got to go on an IOSH course in the next few weeks, so I've got to do the training for the IOSH for health and safety, COSH. We do things within this department which you wouldn't think we would do, like scaffolding. I've got to do I'm a registered scaffolding inspector for the trust, asbestos, working at heights. I did 4 days a course of the week in York just for working at heights, and what you learn on them is incredible. So it is hard work, but again, you make it what it is. Work with a great team. We all have our differences at times, but we get through them, and currently it's an amazing place to be. What we've got a new endoscopy mobile unit, or EMU as it's being called, that got installed from Holland last week, and we've got our joiners currently making the ramp. Now, just to say how important this is, the unit were delivered last Monday, all assembled till the Thursday externally with the cranes, and our joiner's been in all weekend. He was 11 o'clock last night, still making a ramp to get in. So although it's a good job, basically it's 37.5 hours, you can work a lot more hours than you're intended to work, but the achievements, what you get from it, and the feeling you get when you see somebody walking out of this hospital thinking, yeah, I've done that, then it's amazing. Even the little things. Last year, we've never had a Christmas tree at Fairfield Hospital. So what we decided to do last year on the committee for staff to improve the well-being of the staff, we went round delivering drinks while they were busy on the wards. We got car washes done for them, so the staff got the cars washed a little bit cheaper than the NHS. But one of the main things we had was with no Christmas tree on site. So luckily this year I've managed to achieve this. I've got some money together, got the budget, and for the first time in at least 10 years since I started here, we've got a full Christmas tree lit up at the front of the hospital between A&E and the main entrance. And some of the comments we got on that, because due to COVID, no wards can have a Christmas tree or Christmas decorations up because of the infection rates. So it's little things like that, what you can do as a booster to improve the morale of the staff. Career journey of mine, like I said, when I first started, left school at 16, not many qualifications, wasn't really bothered about school, but enjoyed it. And I will say the classic, if I could go back now, I would do. Started an apprenticeship as a joiner, always worked from working on the market stall as a Saturday job, got a full apprenticeship, did a 4-year apprenticeship to an advanced certificate in carpentry and joinery, carried on. The company I was working in was specialist shop fitters, so I ended up being licensed as a Corian fitter, which is the solid surfaces. I did all that for 10 years. For personal reasons, then unfortunately I had to finish that role because we're working up and down the country and I couldn't carry on doing that role. So I left, and then I did a job completely different, and that was mixing ink at a local company called Inks, which produce all the Coke cans, Fanta cans, all the dyes for the cans. And I worked there for about 2 years. You come home, every colour of the rainbow. Again, it wasn't a trade, but it was a job. And as long as you're working, that's all part and parcel of it. From that, I applied as the joiner for a joiner's role over at Fairfield at Oldham Hospital. I achieved that position and worked there for 10 years before applying for the job as an estates manager here. But with that came the opportunity. Unfortunately for me, I had to go back to college. So I ended up doing a HNC in building at Stockport College, which, because I didn't get O-level maths, I ended up doing a BTEC bridging course for 12 months. And then myself and my colleague did the HNC. But from that, all the managers within the trust in estates, there's about 8 of us between the trust. We've all come through the trades as a tradesman or woman, gone back to college, but they're funded by the trust, helped by the trust, and got to the positions which we are today. Again, any questions on that? Or hello?
Hello, has anyone got any questions for Steve?
There must be one.
Yeah, someone's typing now. Fans typing a question for you. What's it like working with your team? That was from Irfan.
Working with my team, I love it. There's been ups and downs, but what I will say is we're like a family. We get on with stuff. Obviously, we've got the management team and the shop floor lads. Again, I've been on that shop floor for 10 years, but we have a really good working relationship. We do have our ups and downs when things don't go quite right, and everybody has their shall we say, a little disagreement, but with the role I'm in, it's the best job I've ever had here. I wouldn't give it up for the world.
Thank you. Mo said, what's your favourite memory of working?
Within the trust, I think it's the achievements we've made. From, I look at myself as I've come from a joiner to get up to the management position. The memory, in fact, one of the memories I made, which will stick with me forever, is I do a lot of work with the Elmsbank School, which is a special needs school at Bury. We have students coming in, and the best thing I did, we worked with them over 12 months, completely out of my role, got, shall I say, pushed into it, ended up loving it, and that is my passion here now within Fairfield. I champion it here, and the other year we did a presentation, and I think what got with him most is unbeknown to me, they asked the parents to come in and tell us what the achievement of the sons or daughters made, because on that year we got 7 students who actually ended up with employment within the trust, who people had said, well, they won't work or anything. And to see the parents' thanks and the students' face on the video which were produced was absolutely tear-jerking. And I will say that it made me cry, because what we've achieved with them and what we've achieved for these students, it was like watching your own child qualify, and I love it. Anything else?
Any other questions for Steve? I've got one for you, Steve, while we wait. Just what are the challenges do you think that'll be coming up when everything goes green, CO2 free, etc.? Have you started working on any green projects yet?
I want to say we have a lot of, well, yeah, we have. Currently we're replacing all the lights within the trust with LEDs. A lot of ours are down to energy. So we're looking at windows, energy. We've got a plant, which basically it's a generator what runs, and we put electricity back into the grid, sorry, and then it makes it cheaper for us. But we are on the LED lights. There's big schemes going throughout the trust to replace them all. And I will say, North Manchester, we've had new boiler houses. We have actually come off the coal-fired boilers now and steam, and we're on actual gas-fired boilers currently.
Thank you. Gemma asks, what do your emergency call-outs usually relate to?
Well, believe it or not, if you finished eating, most of them tend to be to block toilets and macerators, which is where they put all the bodily fluids when they need discarding. But what we do find a lot is staff will put things down which they shouldn't, because these macerators turn everything to pulp and go down the drain. But what we find, because there's that many different ways of cleaning, staff cleaning, patients cleaning, toiletries, what go down the toilets are in these machines. So we end up a lot of times being called to them, or heating. Nurse calls is another one, because what we find is if a nurse call, if one of those goes, we can't ignore it, because that patient needs it. And if one breaks, as I said, we're raising the beds up and down, that can actually send an alarm to the nurses station. So that'd entail what we do here at Fairfield and Rochdale is myself on call as an engineer, the switchboard and ring me. They'll tell us what's wrong. They'll put me through to the ward. I'll try and talk them through what they can do to try and solve the issue. And if that's not the case, then I'll end up calling the tradesman on call, whether it be an electrician or a plumber, to go out and try and solve the issue. But to make it safe and usable. We won't guarantee we can get it done every time because it's just to make things safe for the patients.
Thank you. Has anyone else got any questions at all for Steve? No, not getting any more questions at the moment. If anyone would like any questions answered afterwards, if you let Gemma know, and she'll contact me and I'll forward them on to Steve. All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for today's presentation and talk. It's been really interesting. And thank you, everyone, for attending. And hope you have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you all. Bye now.